Well, welcome to the podcast. I'm
Hi.
excited that you're here today. Would you like to introduce yourself and we'll get started there?
Yeah, my name is Leigh Cella, and I am the owner of Fleur de Leigh, which is a flower and gift shop.
Awesome. Well, I know your journey to Huntsville, it's brought you all over the place. I know you're originally from Oklahoma, I think is what we talked about off air. Talk a little bit about your journey to get here to Huntsville.
It all started with a boy, you know. So my husband was in the Air Force, and he was stationed in Oklahoma City at Tinker Air Force Base. And I'm from a town called Moore, Oklahoma, just outside of Oklahoma City. And I actually went out with him for a free dinner. I was like 26 years old. I'm freshly, in my career. I didn't have a lot of money, and I thought, I'll go out with this guy. It was like a Tuesday night, maybe a Thursday night. It's really bad. And, that's kind of how it started. And then he was stationed in Montgomery at Maxwell Gunner. And I followed him. We hadn't even been dating a year yet.
Oh, wow.
I know. And so I followed him down there, and then we got engaged, got married, had a couple of kids. He retired, and he said, we're moving to Huntsville. And I was like, oh, we're going to stay in Alabama. Okay, that's great.
So did you know anything? Did you have any preconceived knowledge of what Huntsville was like?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The only thing I knew was Montgomery.
Okay.
Okay. That was my total conception of Alabama.
Wow.
So when you said
the whole state is a sum, it was just Montgomery.
It was just Montgomery. I mean, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. I don't know how I feel about this, but he's like, it's great. Like, it's a totally different place. You're going to love it. And I'm like, okay, we have a 3-month-old and a 19-month-old. Like, how are we going to do this? And we moved for his job. He's never worked in Huntsville. So, but that was 12 years ago, and I love it. I don't want to move. I tell everybody to come and that they need to move here, and they think I'm crazy because it's Alabama. And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
It's not what you think. It's very different than what you think.
Yeah, it's very
even
different.
12 years ago when you moved here, I guess in 2012,
yeah,
Huntsville was a very different place. I mean, I think a lot of what we see today in Huntsville happened probably since 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen just this incredible growth of the city.
The growth is insane. Like when we moved here in 2012, like we lived off a county line in Madison, and there wasn't even an exit. And now we've moved to South Huntsville, and I'm like, maybe it won't explode down here.
Yeah,
it'll still be quiet.
Yeah, South Huntsville is one of those places that, like, I grew up in South Huntsville, and it's one of those places that when I still drive there today, it still looks and feels like it was when I grew up. Like, there's obviously some new things here and there, but overall, like, a lot of it's the same, which is kind of cool. It's like one of the pieces of Huntsville that's like still growing, but is also still kind of preserving that history. So talk a little bit about, you come here to Huntsville, you know nothing about Huntsville. What was sort of your career path leading up to being in floral design?
So I was actually a paralegal. I have a degree in legal studies, and back in Oklahoma, I worked with a law firm, and I did intellectual property. And I also worked with the FAA with kind of the aerospace with planes and things like that. Yes. And then when we moved to Montgomery, I did employment law and litigation. So, flowers, perfect, right?
Perfect.
Just like, let's
bridge.
go right into flowers from that. But actually I completely stopped working. Like I said, I had 2 very young children, and it's just us. We don't have any family around or anything. So I was a stay-at-home mom. And I joined this group called the Cotton Candies, which you may have seen in the Mardi Gras parade.
Okay.
Pink wigs, pink outfits, white boots, dancing. It's a crew. It's a Mardi Gras crew. It's so much fun. Unfortunately, I had to leave a couple of years ago, but they're still going, and they're amazing. And a person that was in that group who is very near and dear to my heart, her name is Erica Timpson. She owns Helping Hand Parties and Weddings, and she needed an assistant for a wedding. And I went and did it. And then from there, it just kind of grew, and I kind of started doing some parties for her, assisting her. I still go back every once in a while and help her out. So that's kind of the bridge.
Yeah.
From.
And I like, you had never really done any of that prior to, like, that was the first moment of like exposure to it. You probably obviously bought flowers, have been given flowers, but you have never curated and helped basically present them to 2 people for an event or anything like that.
No, not at all.
Wow.
I didn't know a carnation from a rose. And now I will judge you on your flowers.
Yeah, I bet. I feel like now being almost like an expert in that field, it's like when you go places, that's probably things that most people maybe like, I probably wouldn't notice it right off bat, but it's one of the first things you probably notice.
The first thing I notice. It's the absolute first thing I notice. And I try to take a step back and not say anything, but you'll see me in an event, like messing with something or like taking a rose and turning this, like the petals a certain way or like rearranging. And my husband's always like, please stop. Please don't do that anymore. And I'm like,
so your shop has been open, I guess, a little 8 months going on your first year. Talk a little, take us back to the few months, I guess, let's say 6 months prior to opening. It's probably kind of the, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do my own shop. I've enjoyed it. I've started to grow your presence here in Huntsville. People are knowing you more for it. Talk a little bit about the move to say, hey, let me open up my own shop and what that process looked like.
Well, it just really depended on it. I wouldn't say depended. It kind of grew from the logic of, I just kind of wanted to do something newer, something a little bit fresher. I knew that I wanted to have more community involvement. I wanted to make a little bit of an impact throughout Huntsville and not just within the shop. And so an opportunity occurred. My husband kind of sat with me and he was like, there's this opportunity that you could do this. And I kind of just looked at him like, are you sure? Like, we've got two not young children, but children. And, you're working. He works just outside of Birmingham. He makes that commute once a week. Wow. Yeah. We do all the sports and, drama with the other one. And so he's like, no, I think you could really do this. Like you have that business mind. You understand the contracts of everything from my legal education. And we just kind of said, okay, let's do this. Let's figure out funding. Let's do this and that. And
here it is.
And then it was like, okay, now we've got to choose a location. Yeah. And
how was that? Because Huntsville, last few years, Huntsville's real estate market, finding leases, finding available space. There's a lot of available space, which is nice, but the pricing to get the available space is a lot.
The pricing is outrageous. It's insane. But my husband works in data. He does data integration and business intelligence. So we literally took what he does and laid it over a map. And so it was like, where's the growth? Where is, traffic? What is the, I can't think of the word, but like the infrastructure of how things are going, like, okay, where can we go? And this is our budget. Oh, our budget hits nothing. Like I can get 900 square feet. Like it was just one of those. Wow. So a friend of mine called and she said, hey, I've got this space that I think you should look at because it has coolers already in it. And I said, wait, what are you talking about? She's like, just come look at it. So we go and we look at it and it's 4,500 square feet.
Wow.
Okay. It's 4,500 square feet and it's an old restaurant. And it's also the old Mediterranean market that's located off of University Drive. And I was like, this location is perfect. I can't afford it. I can't afford it at all. She goes, come on, let's just talk to them and see kind of what they're thinking, and I'm like, okay. And they send me the lease over and my legal mind went right into it. And so I am like, I'm redlining, I'm highlighting, I'm doing all of these things. I'm doing my basic math and I made a few requests. That's probably a little bit more than a few requests. And they said yes. They were like, wow. Okay, let's do it. And then they were like, you sign this lease? And I said, can we pre-negotiate for the next term? And he was like, yeah, we'll pre-negotiate. That's fine. And I later found out that nobody has ever inched back on their contracts before. And they have things all over the country. And I'm the only one that's ever gone through and changed things and asked for things and this and that. And they were like, we really believed in you. And I had an entire business plan, like a 20-something page business plan that I presented to them. And here I am.
Wow. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by V. Renee Consulting.
Looking for a partner to help grow your business? V. Renee Consulting is here to help you get clear on your goals and put the right systems in place. Don't do business alone. Let us help you market smarter, not harder. Visit vreneeconsulting.com and schedule your free consultation today. Let's connect and take your business to new heights together. Don't forget to grab your free business assessment appointment in the show notes.
Thank you so much to all of our sponsors that help make this podcast possible. Now back to the episode. And so
Yeah.
you get all the leases figured out. You get this, this space you thought you would never have because it's just massive.
It's massive. And it's a whole thing of coolers, like 4,500 square feet from front door to back door of coolers. Wow. Yes.
And so what was that build out process like for you to kind of create the space, envision what you wanted the shop to look like, the customer experience, just for a canvas that is as big as that is?
I built walls.
Lots of walls.
Lots of walls. So our build out wasn't too bad just because I really wanted to keep an open space. I didn't want somebody to come in and like just feel like things were on top of them. I wanted movement. I wanted in the back where the designer's at that they would have the space to create stuff, that you're not, fighting for space. And I needed like some office and all of that. But I literally just came in and built a few walls. Well, I didn't do it because YouTube can teach me a lot, but not that.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's like, I'll let the professionals do that.
I mean, I thought about it for a minute.
I was like, maybe,
but, there's a difference between...
It's in the budget.
It's in the budget. Like wood studs and steel studs, I didn't know. I mean, hey,
I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. It's good.
As long as it doesn't fall, it's fine.
No, it's good. If I can put a nail through it, it's fine.
It's fine.
So,
wow. And this, like, I think what's unique and like something that I would love to like hear more about is what does it look like to source flowers? Because I think it's one thing that like, like I've bought in flowers for my wife, like I've like all of that, but like to actually go and source flowers and like have that eye to like what not only you like, but also what your customers are going to like.
Right. And that's something that we've really tried to figure out in this last year. Well, not year yet, but in the last year, you kind of look at the trends. I do a lot of education. I do, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of YouTube. I've got some like little schools that I watch. I'm going to conferences. I'm trying to learn and educate myself. So, but flowers literally come on plane, trains, and automobiles. So they are sourced all over the world, and then they are imported to us, and they're put on trucks, and then they're trucked to us, and they're in boxes. They're just wrapped together. We have to unbox them, take them out, cut them, put them in a solution to get them to drink water because they've been out of water for a while. It's not glamorous.
So is all of like the sourcing all done online, or do you go to like a market for flowers and then, pick and choose from like examples they have and then they ship it to you?
Yes.
Okay.
So all of the above. So you can go to a market. We have a small like wholesale house here, which is great. They do a lot of great things that we can go and get things. But then there's also you buy farm direct, because your big markets are, in the Miami and Los Angeles, New York, down in the Texas area, but it's not something that we really have access here to. So we call them menu items almost, which sounds awful. But whenever you want to order, we have it on our website and then you can go and choose. And I have those basically shipped in every week. So I almost call it like moving bananas and selling bananas, because you've got a perishable product and you've got to get that in. And if somebody knows what they're wanting and they, it's right there, then I know that I can keep it in stock and it keep going. So, and then as we are watching trends and colors and all of those things, you kind of pivot and start buying from that.
Yeah. And so for like that process from sourcing the flowers that, you're seeing in the trends, you're seeing people wanting to enjoy, maybe the conversations that your customers are coming in and asking about, to then actually creating some of these preset bouquets. How do you then, curate this pool of flowers that you've just gotten and then put a dozen of something into a vase and say, this is what people like? How does that process happen?
It's all trial and error. No, I have a great team. I have a great creative team. We will sit around a lot of times and just kind of talk things out, go through like the structure, the vase that has to hold something, how many stems you can put in, what's the height of it. I mean, like you look at our little astronaut guy, like he can only hold so many flowers and you want to do something in a color palette that's not going to be washed out. So, that if you're, whites and greens are really great together, oranges and yellows, reds and purples, there's just this whole, you kind of have that meeting, that little trial and error together.
It's like the intersection where everything just sort of blends and works well together.
Yes.
And so I would assume too, you talked a little bit about like when you're out and about, like flowers, one of the things that how has your eye for that continued to, obviously you were kind of, you've been doing flowers for a while, but how has the eye to see things when you're out and about in public changed since opening up the shop?
So it's crazy. Like even my husband will say like, your decorating's even gotten better. Like it's not, and I'm not the decorator. Like we built a custom house. And so trying to pick the, mortar that goes with the brick or the roof color of the shingle and those types of things. But I can now see like, oh yeah, those, if you would actually put that brown over there, it might look a little nicer.
Wow.
So it's kind of an interesting way of how I guess view things now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so like looking at your website, there's a lot of occasions that you kind of, tailor to. Talk a little bit about some of those occasions and sort of what has been sort of the hot ticket occasion that you've seen over the last 8 months of opening up the shop.
So it's really funny. We have done a lot of weddings. So
Wow.
we've, and it's wedding season right now.
Yes.
It is that fall wedding season, which I laugh because I got married in August and I never thought like, oh, wow, that's kind of the start of everything. But, the month of October is homecoming. It's really, that's pretty going forward and everything.
Yeah.
And then we're going to kind of go into like Thanksgiving. So you've got those dinners that you're going to, or you're wanting to take something that's a nice little hostess gift. And, you kind of go into December, you're always going to hit your Valentine's and Mother's Days. Those are like the golden rule. Cannot miss those.
If you learn anything from this podcast, don't forget flowers on those days.
Don't go to the grocery store. Don't be that person. Like order, because it's a different quality that you're getting and all of those good things. But, it's the kind of the upticks and stuff of, wow, this is going on. We just did Alabama A&M's coronation.
Wow.
Yes. We do the Rose Ball every year. It's kind of funny how they trade off from like, you go to weddings and you go into school and then you go into a holiday. And then, so it's just kind of, you've got to kind of watch the flows. And with my husband being in the data guy, he's been like, wow, we have to buy more flowers at this. Yes, you have to buy more flowers
of course,
then.
yeah.
So that's why the cash flow is that way.
It's interesting that like, that the commodity of flowers can be such it can basically bridge so many gaps where it's from that high school student going to prom or going to homecoming or going to whatever dance you fill in the blank,
right,
to that wedding where it's like you have, all the tables, you have all like the bouquets for the arrangements, you have all the boutonnieres, you have everything. And then
I'm so proud of you with the boutonnieres.
Yeah.
You can tell you went through it not too long ago.
I've done a lot of boutonnieres over the years. I think 3 years ago into prom, multiple homecomings for my wife in college, to weddings we've been into, our own wedding.
Yeah.
So worn plenty of boutonnieres, but it's just crazy just that how that can, flowers have such a role in so many different things.
They really do. I mean, it's a joke within the industry as that it's from the beginning of life to the end of life, because you've got flowers all through it. And honestly, it makes an impact to have those flowers. I am a person, and it's kind of comical that I'm in the flower industry, but I skimped out on them on my wedding. And through that, I don't have a lot of photographs because it just looks really plain. And so when I'm talking to brides and they're like, oh, I just really want to be like, and I'm like, let me tell you a story. So my father, he had a photography studio and he managed that. And, all my life I've been in front of a camera. I know how to pose correctly on the spot, and I skimped out on the flowers. And so now it's really funny. I spent $800 on my flowers for, nothing. And so, now I don't have the photographs because the flowers really make the photograph. And when people say, well, the flowers we're just going to throw away, I'm like, actually they live forever through your photographs. Yeah. So I always kind of laugh at that, but it's like, then I had my children and we had flowers there, and, we've had some family members pass and you had flowers there. And then you have, all your school functions, flowers there, and then birthdays and this and that. And then there's always the nice, oh, I really care about you, or I might have gotten in trouble.
I might be at fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am sorry. And so we're always like, we can't guarantee that this is going to fix your problem, but
it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So you're 8 months into owning your own business, running your own business, doing floral arrangements, weddings, all sorts of crazy things. What do you see the rest of this year looking like as you're closing out your first year of business, and also closing out the end of 2024 And then kind of what do you see in the future for the shop?
The shop. Well, let's just kind of start like big picture, like the community involvement, which is really one of the reasons why I wanted to go out. So getting more involved with the nonprofits, getting my husband being a disabled veteran, I really want to get back into that community. I want to try to find an organization that really helps our veterans, that really kind of gives them the tools that they need to succeed. And sometimes you just don't get those. So really reaching out to that, stepping back for the end of 2024, it's crazy. I mean, it's just grown so fast, so quickly, and I'm just so appreciative of it. So I want people to really know, like, there's a genuine, like, thank you to everybody that has just come out and supported, even if it's just a Facebook, hey, you're doing a great job, or a text. It's funny. I took the week off and my phone's blown up all week of like, oh my gosh, that's so pretty. And I'm like, thank you. I don't know what that is. So,
wow.
And then, just really hoping to kind of go into the holidays and be a part of everybody's holiday in the way of expression of flowers, or even a nice little gift. Like, we've got great little gifts that you can take for hostesses. So,
perfect. Well, if anyone's listening and watching and they do want to find out more information about the shop, they want to visit the shop, or they are looking for these because this episode will come out right around the holidays. So it's perfect timing if you're listening or watching. Where can they find all of that about the shop and everything?
So you can always look on our social medias. We do have Instagram and Facebook, and it's Fleur de Leigh, but it's Leigh. And so, because my name is Leigh, so I kind of have to put that in there. But if you also put the HSV in there, because we really wanted to hone in that that's here in Huntsville. And then you can also visit our website, which is Fleur de Leigh, hsv.com. You can find all kinds of information there. So
perfect. Well, we'll have all the information in the episode notes. So if anyone's watching or listening, you can visit the notes and you can find all links to everything. But I appreciate you taking the last little bit to inform me more about flowers. I mean, I feel like it's something that, like, I'm going to have, my wife's probably going to ask me to get some flowers now, and I know exactly where I'm going to go to get them.
You could send me a text or anything.
Perfect.
We'll just get together.
And so I'm excited to kind of see the continued growth you're going to have in Huntsville for years to come. I think the impact you're going to have, the impact you've already had, is going to be incredible to see. And I look forward to hopefully having you on in a couple of years to see all the growth you've had. But thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thank you. This was fun. It was way easier than I thought. Is that what everybody said?